Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Alright. If it's alright with you, we're going to record our session just as normal, just so that way I can have a chance to reflect on the counseling session to see if there is anything that we would need to address a little bit further, or anything maybe that we've missed. Okay?
Sure.
So you mentioned that you were thinking about the divorce again. Did you want to talk about that today?
Well, I was trying to reflect back and just look and see what else we possibly could have done to maybe salvage what we had, because there were some very strong feelings, but a lot of that intensity came out in anger and rage towards each other. So I know had we probably stuck with it and worked a little harder, we probably could have made it, but just the volatility really caused some significant damage that ended the marriage.
Okay. And you say you could have worked harder. What had you done to salvage the marriage at that point?
I really don't think we did much at all. We never really ventured into counseling. I mean, we were young and stubborn, and neither of us felt the other was wrong. But obviously, looking back on it now and 20 years later, thinking, gosh, I really wish we could have possibly put some more effort in that, because we really didn't give it enough of an effort to say we both tried.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I regret that, and going back, I would have made different choices had I known what I know now.
Okay. So I do hear that you're sounding a little bit regretful over the way that things kind of played out. You said you would have made different choices. What exactly would you have done differently?
I think, again, I would have possibly sought out some type of counseling for us to go to together and individually,
Mm-hmm.
to maybe address some of the anger issues we had towards each other, and learning to communicate better so that we're not just fighting all the time. Because in any small issue became a big issue, because we just lost the direction in communication and wasn't sure how to even get that back. And again, we were still very young, and now I look back and I there's a lot we could have done, but we just were too stubborn, too proud to take the necessary steps to salvage the marriage.
Okay. Do you think he would have made the right sacrifices to make the marriage work, or?
Given the opportunity, I think we both would have, but at the time, being in our early 20s still, and still probably in some selfish phases in life, and not being as devoted as we should have been because of prior bad relationships, probably. I do believe we both would have probably decided to seek out some kind of counseling, but stubbornness got in the way.
Okay. It sounds like you're both taking partial responsibility for the fact that it did end in divorce. Do you think there is any one person that might have caused it more, or do you think it was still a mutual thing that you separated? And
I do think it was fairly mutual.
okay.
I mean, there were certain issues with finances that he was really responsible for, and he can prove so later in life with he lost everything with his next wife.
Okay.
And I felt pity for him, because I wished he had learned and changed those ways, because that was one of the main sources of contention in our marriage, was financial. And I think that's with any marriage, but he just didn't want to see any part of it. I mean, he didn't feel he was wrong, and obviously he paid for it later in life by losing everything because of really poor financial choices. So that had a lot to do with it. His family also was very demanding of his time, and they always came before me and our daughter.
Okay.
And that became very difficult to me and hard to understand, because I wanted to be first in his life. So it may sound like I'm putting more blame on him, but I believe had I been a better communicator and expressing myself without being spiteful in communication, I probably would have got a better outcome than I did. But me being spiteful in response or disrespectful in the way I spoke to him, it just enraged him even more, and that just made the arguments even heavier fueled.
Okay. So it sounds like you've worked through pretty much every aspect of what you could have done differently and what was wrong in the marriage. Do you think that maybe things would have been different if there wasn't a child involved? Do you think that?
No, I think she actually made things better at some points because he was an amazing dad to her. He loved on her like crazy, and they played like kids together, and they would sit and color together. But it was very difficult after the divorce because he was really good for a while with visitation and doing things with her and giving up his time. And then he and his girlfriend were expecting, and it all changed. And I was so disappointed in him that he ended that amazing relationship that he had with our daughter over another woman and another child. It was very disheartening because my daughter didn't deserve that to be discarded in that way, because she's an amazing child, amazing woman now, and I wanted her to have an amazing dad, and I found someone in her life for me and for her that became that to her, but it's still very disheartening to know that, and I know he regrets it, and I hear it in his voice. We haven't spoken maybe once in 10 years.
Okay.
But you can tell, and I believe you can see now as he tries to reach out to my daughter, or our daughter, I'm sorry, that he does regret it, and he misses that relationship, and he hopes he had done it better, but it just wasn't something that his wife was accepting of, so that led to what it is today. It's a very estranged relationship. It's very difficult.
So what exactly has caused this to resurface for you now? What's causing you to have some remorse about it today and causing you to reflect back on it? Is there anything with work, anything with personal life, or?
He called me about 2 months ago, or close to 2 months ago, and asked something about some benefits that we had, and it was just the strangest thing to hear his voice again.
Right.
And he asked if I was dating anyone. It was funny because someone had showed up at the time I was on the phone with him to pick me up for the date. And he joked, he goes, "I thought you were dating." I said, "No, I'm not dating. I'm just going out on a date." But it was kind of cute to hear that. But I could hear something in his voice that, and there was always something in his voice after we divorced. And then we're calm with each other. His wife wasn't around. That there was always something in his voice that, of either concern or wanting to say something more but can't.
Okay.
And I mean, and I do wish him happiness, and I care dearly for him, but I don't condone the choices that he made in alienating our daughter, because that really changed the remaining opinion of him that I had to he's not the greatest man, or the great man I thought he was.
Okay. So how does that make you feel then, to know that he is obviously somewhat remorseful and somewhat regretful, even if it is an unspoken emotion? How does that make you feel to know that he does feel some sort of regret from that?
It sometimes saddens me, because we're from a small community, and you hear things, and I know he has a volatile relationship with his wife, but somehow it works, which God bless their hearts. I couldn't live that way, but if that's the way it works for them, that's fantastic. I hope they're happy that way. But I've heard things that would say that kind of say karma comes back and bites you in the butt, in a sense. And his health has been a bit shady for quite a while, even though he's a bit younger than me, and I would never wish ill will on anyone. But part of me just thinks back and says, karma comes around, and I wish you had made better choices and not made our daughter feel less than to you, because I always tried to make her feel like she was the most important thing in my life, and I hope I've done that for her. But then there was a man that came into our lives when she was 8, and he was with us for 10 years, and he's still in her life today. He's an amazing man, just not the one that I was meant to be with forever. Treats her like gold, was a second father, or even a first father to her, truthfully. And he never wanted any children, so I gave up that in our 10-year relationship to have any more.
Okay.
but she is his only child, and that gives me some solace in that area to know that she has a father figure in her life that thinks of her like I think of her.
Okay.
And it means a lot to me to know if something ever happened to me, that he would take care of her.
That's a good thing to know. That's great. Now, as far as going back to the resurfacing of the divorce, the phone call that you had gotten, do you think maybe the regrets that you had from the divorce are kind of resurfacing now with your new personal life? I mean, are you trying to learn from your mistakes in moving forward?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
How are you?
I've made great efforts in the last probably 5 years to not speak to someone or snap at someone and treat them with that level of disrespect when I'm communicating. And I did that a little bit in a 10-year relationship with her stepdad, and I do regret that because he didn't deserve that. And my temper has gotten somewhat better. My patience level, I'm trying to be more patient with people and realize that if I want that out of someone, if I want to be treated better, then I have to make sure that I'm willing to treat someone else that way. Otherwise, there's no point in even seeking out a relationship. But there's many times, and I've been through several year-long relationships since the 10-year relationship, that I'm not so sure that I'm meant to be in that type of a relationship. I wish and pray I could be married and live my life out with some person and one person. But I just sometimes lose my way and think that is that really possible for me? Can I even do that? And I know it's somewhere in there, but I'm just not quite sure how to bring that to the surface. I have confidence in who I am and my intelligence, but my emotional intelligence I probably am lacking because of just the things that have gone on in the past and many disappointments over many relationships. And I'm not so sure how to evolve that emotional security in myself to relay it into a relationship that is going to be successful sometimes.
Okay. Well, and honestly, learning from your mistakes is a really good tool to use for your future relationships. I mean, just applying those same things that might have gone wrong in past relationships, trying to make sure you recognize those triggers in a new relationship, sometimes that can really help. But it does sound like you've worked through pretty much most of any sort of concern or issue you would have had at that time. So, I mean, it sounds like you are kind of getting there on your own, but you do deserve happiness. Everyone deserves to be happy, whether you believe that it is with somebody or on your own. I mean, it does sound like you're definitely getting there. So,
work in progress.
Yeah, it looks like you're doing a pretty good job to me. So, I really appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for